Thanks for joining us on Africa 24 English for this new edition of Decryptage. Today with Damilola Ogunbiyi, CEO and Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, and the co-chair of UN Energy, we will discuss the importance for Africa to have power pools. As co-chair of the Mission 300 Drawing Working Group, what are the specific outcomes of the Africa Energy Summit in Tanzania, and how does it align with Africa's broader energy access goals?
Okay, so there are two specific outcomes. One, the 12 energy compacts being signed by 12 countries today, talking about what they need to do to access money and get to universal access. This is everything from cost-reflective tariffs, competitive procurements, utilizing renewable sources. So that is one aspect today. The other that is just as important is getting all the heads of the states here to sign up to the Dar es Salaam Declaration, which really is how Africa is going to develop over the next few years, that Africa as a continent gets to a point of universal access, economic growth, and more importantly, gets people out of energy poverty.
Local financing is a cornerstone of Mission 300's strategy. At the summit, what concrete steps or commitment did you expect to see from African governments and financial institutions to accelerate energy investments?
I mean, obviously, local currency financing is key. The way you finance projects should be how people pay for their electricity bills. So we're working with local pension funds, with large capital markets to say, how can you also invest? Back in the day, you wouldn't have pension funds and insurance companies interested in this, but everyone understands the impact and the opportunity that this brings as well.
How do you think that the Africa Energy Summit has fostered regional partnerships to create synergies between countries in addressing cross-border energy challenges and scaling decentralized energy solutions?
Well, yesterday I moderated a ministerial, and you could hear from the ministerial how people talked about the West African power pool and the Southern African power pool and the East African power pool, and how countries are selling power across borders, which is really important, especially when you're integrating renewable solutions. So I'm super excited. It's already happening, and it's one of the innovations that's happening first in Africa, that other continents can even learn from, on how we are doing our cross-border payment systems, how the power purchase agreements work. So these things are just happening. They just need to be scaled up as well, and the more infrastructure needs to be built, which will happen over the next few years.
Today, why do you think it is important for Africa to have power pools?
It also helps with the integrity of your grid. If you are selling to other countries, you can also, especially when it comes to renewable energy, it's not every country doesn't have the same time zone. So there might be sometimes in your country that you say, oh, I don't have enough electricity, but it might be wasted because there are not enough people taking electricity at that time. At that time, you can sell some of the electricity to others and get income there while you're still building out your infrastructure. I don't know which country you're from as well, but there's also different ways to electrify. It's not just by grid. There's off-grid solutions with standalone solar systems and also mini grids as well. So depending on how you plan your system, the more you integrate, you also help the country deal with intermittencies. Because it's not just about, I have power. It's about, I want power that the lights are not going to go off. So the more strengthening that your grid system is, it allows you to do that. And it allows us to work as a continent. So I'm very, very excited about the immense potential of power pools.
With your extensive on-the-ground experience, particularly in Nigeria, how can past successes in energy access projects like the ones you led serve as blueprints for the initiatives discussed at the summit?
I mean, I think working in Nigeria, it's a very difficult system. Local government, state government, and federal government. So our lessons learned from that should also help capacities in other countries. Instead of everybody thinking they're doing it from scratch, they should come and learn from each other's countries. Africans, we need to teach ourselves. Nobody is coming to save us, and we need to realize it. We have to do it ourselves. It's for Africa, by Africa. I'm a true believer in that. I'm a true believer in my people, in my African continent, and I know we can do this. I believe completely in it. And that is why any capacity we have, any learnings we have, we need to teach ourselves. It's actually our responsibility.
Beyond the summit, what key metrics would you use to measure the success of Mission 300 in Africa? And how can stakeholders ensure long-term sustainability for the projects launched under this initiative?
I think one of the key things is taking the compacts and making implementation plans with timelines. I mean, 2030 is not that long, so you need to track how many connections people are making, and you have to make that transparent to everybody so they know that this is really happening. And everybody needs to hold us responsible as people who are co-chairing it. We need to have our pathway. And I think the beauty about this, the World Bank and the AFDB has created a space that other people can come in and we all hold each other accountable. Again, it's not very unique to hold one organization accountable to another organization, but at this kind of scale, collaboration matters, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Some people would find this project too ambitious, keeping in mind that it has to be implemented by the year 2030. What do you say about this?
I think it's insulting as Africans for us to think that 300 million out of the 600 million Africans that don't have energy is ambitious. I think any African that doesn't want more for its continent, we need to think in scale. So I think what we should be saying is, what about the other 300 million? Not, can we do the 300 million? Unless we'll be a continent that is going to be left behind. We'll be a continent that's going to be an extractive economy that everybody takes our critical mineral, grows, and then we are all looking at everyone going, what happened to us? So for me, it's not a maybe if, it has to happen. Thank you very much.
Damilola Ogunbiyi, CEO and Special Representative for the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, thanks for answering Africa 24's English questions. Ladies and gents, please stay tuned to our programs for more.